What is going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here. My name is Matt. I play games as the Cutter, and this is the Thursday night show on Twitch, Just Scrappin. This is going to serve as the season finale, in fact, for the show. We did 10 straight. We're going to thank all of my guests here a little bit later. Um, but it's been great. We are going to continue the Wednesday night streaming here each and every week. I don't have any plans for any breaks. But for this show, we're going to take the holidays off and come back in January. I do hope everyone enjoyed last week's conversations with Ashton Sable and Chris Polides. I had a blast. Tonight, we have someone everyone has been waiting for, and he doesn't need a lot of introduction. That being said, I still want to at least put it out there. This guy is an inspiration to me and to anyone that is streaming Star Realms right now. He was really the first to do it well. Sam baX Hall. How the hell are you, man?
I am great. I'm doing great. I'm really excited to be here.
I see you're being very safety cautious here with the mask.
Yeah. Well, in case anybody, I figured, this is around my neck. And people are probably going to look at that and be like, what the hell does he have around his neck? And now everybody knows what I have around my neck. So it's great. Yeah, thank you for inviting me on the show. This is awesome. I'm really glad to be here tonight.
So, like I said, I mean, there's so many things this community knows and loves you for already. And of course, we're going to reminisce. We're going to talk about the present as well. Before we get there, tell us all about you. Tell us about yourself, where you're at, and what you do.
I want to tie into what you said. It's actually crazy to think all the way back. It was a post in the fan page, the Star Realms community fan page, and it occurred to me that nobody was streaming Star Realms. And when I say nobody, it was actually nobody. I looked up, I tried to find videos, and there were maybe a few out there. And so I kind of wrote this whole post about hey, so somebody's got to at least try. And then it's yeah, I'll give it a shot. We'll see what happens. And I'll just da-da-da. And now look where we are. I don't know how long ago that was. Jeez. 10 years, was that 10 years ago? 9 years ago? 8 years? Maybe that's too far. Right now I am still streaming. We've taken two pretty long breaks, but I'm very much into the content creation, the streaming, and commentating. Commentating is something I'm focusing more and more on recently, as far as esports, such as Rocket League, getting into doing play-by-play and color casting for those. But mostly that's it. I'm not near as involved in Star Realms as I used to be. I still play I still make attempts on Arena every week, and I'll still play some games and everything. I used to stream. So I guess, okay, if we're doing, let's try a resume. This is the only thing I'll say for my resume.
All right.
I am the only White Wizard proclaimed all-star player ever.
I agree.
Any questions? Where's my mic? Where's my mic drop? The mic's here, but it's attached. I can't drop.
It's true.
Oh my god!
Not only were essentially the first to be compelling in the Star Realms arena, you managed to turn that pretty quickly into a paid gig. That's
well, that was Dusto. We got to give Dusto credit where credit is due. Dusto was yo, so we're running the SRP, right? We still, by the way, your clip, you against, was it Aldurin? That clip has amassed over 1,500 or 2,000 views at this point. It still gets some traction. Most of the comments on it are basically screaming at me because I'm clipping out my microphone, which I deserve because the screaming was awful. But that clip is still there. Anyway, after that clip, the very next thing that happened was I'm oh man, I wonder if they would ever want like commentary at like at one of their game fairs, and Dusto's like, just do it, yo, go do it. You need to tell them, and you need to do the thing. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do what Dusto says. And then I went, let me shout in your microphone. And they were like, yeah, that sounds cool. Like, let's get you out there. And that's still like such a good memory. Meeting you, meeting I don't know how many people, like up to 40 or 50 community members, like names that all people that are like saturated into the community. That was such a memorable time. And then getting to like cast too, like the Mystic, like Dustin was there, and it was cool to like get him on the microphone too as a part of like Mega Hall and podcast. I don't know if we're bringing that up or not. I don't know if that's a
Oh,
rip or
sure.
what's going on with that
No,
necessarily, but
not at all.
that was just, it was a really that's a really cool memory to see how that got started as far as like, and from there that turned into being involved in the White Wizard Twitch twice a week, which, by the way, I did post. My name is still on the White Wizard Twitch in the panel. It still says
Oh yeah.
it still says like baX every Tuesday and Thursday.
I wonder how those shows are
So I'm
going.
like, okay, I mean, you can see me, just probably not on this channel. I don't know. It's pretty
So
funny.
so I think let's go ahead and get a game started here since we are
So
on the Twitch platform. We'll pretend that we are in fact streaming some games,
yeah,
and I'm gonna let you go ahead and send a challenge. I know that we have a game actually, I think, in progress that we could just pick up, but I feel like for the viewers' sake, maybe we start a new one and kind of go from there.
I have sent you a challenge. It might look familiar.
So, yeah, there's a lot. There's already a lot that we can talk about that we covered already. Let's kind of go back to the beginning though.
Okay.
Star Realms doesn't, on the surface, immediately look like a game that people will necessarily want to watch people play. And I know that was a hump for me to get over, but you got over that relatively quickly. You sort of said, "I think I can find a way to do this," and then I think why people were drawn to you so quickly. You're just very good at helping to embellish, or I don't want to say create, excitement in a game that doesn't necessarily bleed with it. How did you sort of realize that, and what made you realize I think I can?
Well, what's interesting is that like, so Star Realms came out in 2014. Is that right? 2014? I think it was
Yes,
2014.
I believe they will
What I
list.
remember
Yes.
is it came out in 2014. Another game that came out in 2014 was Hearthstone. Hearthstone came out in 2014, and so all I did, like I played a lot of Hearthstone when it first came out, and I just thought, oh, wait, if people are watching like professionals, people are watching people like you're just playing cards. Maybe there's shiny stuff going on, but it's a card game. It's a deck building game. You already have your deck built, and that was it. It was nothing more than, yeah, because it's like you look at the surface of it and it's like, like nobody's gonna want to watch this. But as anybody who streams Star Realms now knows, like there's the community of people like watching the game, people are interested in watching the game, like people who play the game. So I think it's kind of interesting to look at the success of other card-based games and then say, well, Star Realms couldn't cut it. Some of the games like are not any shinier than Star Realms is. It's just a matter of like exposure and people not, raging at the arc or something, That's it.
Sam, give me one sec. I'm gonna plug my mic out and back in again, and I'm hearing my audio is cutting out. That yours is fine. Give me just 1 second here.
Oh, excellent. No, this is great. No, hey team, what's up, chat? How you doing, chat McChatterson? You guys are chatting it up over there for the chat. Good to see all you guys. It is a pleasure to see all of you. I hope you guys are doing well. You bunch of chatters, you bunch of just scrapping viewers of scrappins and chattins and chatter chats. There, I did it. That was a professional level segue for what it's worth.
I am not sure. I would hate for this to be marred with audio issues. Give me 1 more second here.
far as the raging against the arc, which I think is like, I think it's warranted. I think the arc is the one card that really slipped through besides the cutter. That like really just is like, excuse me, but it is a promo. It's a year one promo. The only problem I have with the juxtaposition of the arc and the year one promos is the year one bases that are in that promo set are phenomenal. I love those things to death. I love playing with them. Um, but as far as the raging against the arc, I think a card like the arc or certain cards or aspects of Star Realms and the strategy, I think that leads it to not be as mainstream as it potentially could be. I never expected like to start streaming it, or when I was, and I still to this day encourage people to start, streaming. And if you need help, just hit me up. But the only drawback is maybe the game looks pretty static. Maybe the appeal of the strategy is a little bit static, that it doesn't really like let 1,000 people watch and be like, this is awesome. We just need to get XQC to stream like one stream of it, and I think we'd be good.
So testing. We're gonna see if hopefully this continues to go okay. So thank you for taking over there.
Oh, that's easy. I'll do all day.
So I do remember very early, you were in on it, and I remember you doing some fun things like offering up challenges where you would be compelled to you would have to make particular purchases against your opponents.
Federation Friday. Oh my God, yes.
And that was sort of the early attempts at bringing in the draw. And then, yes, I want to say that was probably in 2016, late 2016 or early 2017. And then later in 2017, you were so ahead of the time. You saw this opportunity to potentially broadcast multiple people streaming their games and host a tournament around it. And this is in fact where, yes, I ran up against Alderin in, I think it was the second one, and it was a pretty crazy ending, and I think it was the first time a lot of people got to see Sam Baxhall really just go completely off the rails.
It may be like the earliest known recorded footage. It's like it's the footage the Sasquatch hunters are always looking for. It's the first sighting of like raw baX. I think so. I think that is exactly what happened.
And so then
oh my God, yeah.
And it was. That's a lot of fun. I did not grab that particular clip. It's kind of a long one. It's definitely worth finding. I did put together some clips for some Rocket League. We're going to talk about Rocket League in a while. I love Rocket League. And weirdly, I feel like our first conversation that you and I maybe even ever had, we brought up Rocket League right away. You already had posted something or something. You recommended me to a Discord group. And it was so long ago.
It's tingling the edge of my memory. And I think you're right, because you had just like, I played it from like day of release. And so I was pretty into it, but I think you picked it up not too long after. I don't actually, I don't know if that's true. And then you were like, I love this game, guys. I forget, you made a post in the Facebook group, I think, where you said like, hey guys, my play might not be as rigorous as it used to be, because you were like the grinder back in the day, right? It's like nobody has played more games than the cutter, like you. And then you're like, wait, I'm playing Rocket League now, everybody. So hey, we gotta just so you know, there's this other game and it's pretty fun, so I'm gonna play that for a bit.
So no, it's true, I did. It was out on PlayStation, I think a little bit before Xbox, and I picked it up. It might have been very first day, and then because I knew it was coming and it looked super fun, and I loved it right away. And I still, it's been in the time that I've put in 33,000 games of Star Realms, I've still managed to put in 6,500 matches of competitive Rocket League. Let's do this. Since we're kind of going into Rocket League, I don't want to take us off. We'll come back to Star Realms. Let me play the clip for everybody real quick here. I'm going to bring it up. This is very recent.
Oh,
We'll have Sam
oh,
tell us about it here in a second.
Was waiting out on the outside there. Does take control of the ball. Does go by one. Does get by two. Flip up towards the side. 2-1. We have some Spike Rush players out here today. Retro Explorer. A little bit of miscommunication there. Got to be careful. Cuts on the inside. Going to try to get another touch. Dawn has been savage. Not savage enough. Catch me outside. It's 5-6. Back to center. Instant. Red line. Up off the top. Turtle Supreme. It's going to be instant with an opportunity. A shot does get the touch, and that ball will drop in. Instant will get credited with the goal. Tactical to carry. Plunger. Shot from Crispy. Frozen in the air. Everybody just kind of waiting here. Retro. Spikes. Spike rush time. Retro. Destroys everybody straight through the line. That is insane. Dawn has just 1v3'd and embarrassed the blue team.
So, yeah. How about that? I mean,
so that's a thing. That's a thing that exists. It's true.
So you take Star Realms. You sort of have to help create the excitement. You move on to something like Marbles, where there's motion. It's action. There's things happening. You can point out physically things happening, but you still ultimately are responsible, and you've developed a tremendous viewership there, and it's why you are good at that. But when you get a game that actually is a spectator game, it's exciting, it lends itself to your talents, how different is it for you to be on the call for something like it?
This is a part where we're going to give disclaimer up front. I will just call this whole next segment the Bax's humble brag. It actually was like an easy transition, and I think the Star Realms, I'm still looking to push it even farther, but like the Star Realms streaming unlocked my recognition of broadcasting like vocal talent, like my ability to cast quickly and catch up to the action and highlight the things going on was a very quick learn. I had to practice a few things like along the way, but for the most part it's just been like, that's it. That's the back humble brag. It wasn't the adjustment was simple. And I'm very aware that's not the case for most people. It just comes naturally. Mostly because I'm an excitable and passionate person, you know? So it's, if you put a microphone in front of me and put me on the screen, I'm probably going to get into whatever's going on. And I think that's kind of the running joke, is I could make like watching paint dry exciting just because, you know, it's, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes, like, look at that paint. Oh my gosh, look at the left side of the paint. It's drying faster than the right side. Like you could go off on it. I don't know. Anyway, so that's it. Oh.
No, that is definitely, I mean, it's a genuine talent and skill. And again, I just come in one day to check out how it looks to see Rocket League called. And I see that and I go, this is insane. I mean, you are absolutely in your element. It feels like it's something that is there for you. Now, I mean, obviously, I mean, listen, you sound like those guys that I see on, you know, that they're up there, that they pay to do it. I mean, are you looking at possibly turning this in? You have a great thing, obviously, going on your cast, the Baxcast.
Right.
But, I mean, you're starting to sound at a level like maybe you could get brought on to. Is there an avenue for that? Is that something you can look at?
Yes. This is the hard part. The hard part is me I'm not an entrepreneur. And as a result, I think there are opportunities and there is a desire on my part to continue to expand and look out at other ideas and options for casting and commentary. The issue for me is there's kind of like a brick wall, and also there's a lot of established circles. Like by now, a lot of like the casting community is kind of integrated and very well known. But I certainly have like a long term goal to be like looking at casting and commentating on a more serious level, and yeah, see if that elevates. See. I mean, maybe I have to bring that into the Baxcast. Maybe I have to bring that into my Twitch stream. Maybe it's YouTube videos. Maybe I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's just sending resumes and applications out to every organization out there saying, I have a voice. I'm good at what I do. Like, give me a shot. I'm not entirely sure. But the goal is certainly to give it a shot. But I also have no idea what I'm doing. That's it. The voice is here, and the rest, the voice does not have like somebody who knows what they're doing underneath it. It's just somebody who has the voice. So I have to learn the rest of it.
Now something I didn't clip in there with the sound, because really, I mean, it was the audio that blew me away. But in watching your event as well, I mean, it looked. Were you managing that entire thing? All of. It looked like there were divisions and teams, and you were very quickly transitioning through graphics to get the tournament moving. Was that all your design? Is that all you, or is there someone with you behind the scenes on that? It seemed like you were running the show.
That was an event where they actually like commissioned me to broadcast it. So they essentially said, "Hey, love your casting. Could you cast this event?" And I said yes. And then they came at me and they said, "We want you to also stream it." And then it became, "Oh, you don't want me to like commentate. You want me to broadcast. You want me to be the person who's running the show." So they provided me graphics. They provided me like a timeline, a schedule, and then they let me do the rest. So yeah, so I was controlling. So I was doing the stream and the casting for that. Which is a little more stressful, but the event was very casual. It was an in-house tournament, so that let me breathe a very large sigh of relief, so I didn't have to sweat it too much. I am very disappointed, by the way, just a side note, taking that solar skiff. Another 6 came up. That's it. I'm really disappointed in that missile mech. I think it's stupid and dumb that it did what it did. We can move on from that, though.
So for those that maybe aren't even aware of Rocket League, and that was your first look at it, it is soccer, and
yep.
it is a soccer ball being directed around by cars that are driving and flying through the air, and there's no way to describe the game without making it, not sound kind of dumb. But when you actually get in and play it, it just quite simply is one of the most fun activities that I participate in. It scratches itches that I don't really get in other games. Number one, sort of I don't want to call it physical, because real athletes are going to be like, shut up, but you know what I mean. It's,
right. No, totally.
It's not making strategy decisions about moves or cards or anything like that. It's being in the right place at the right time, and it's also being part of a team in real time.
Definitely.
I, for one, don't get that in really other contexts. But that is absolutely, why I play it pretty much almost every day.
It is the skill, the ability to get into the game of Rocket League is about as simple as you can hope. And the ceiling, the mechanical skill ceiling in that game is so far away and so outrageously high that you can't even see it when you start the game. Like, it's not even visible. It's way over the horizon. That's what keeps you coming back, is like every game you could have done better. There is not a perfect game. Like, it just doesn't exist. And that's the same thing with like actual, soccer or football. Like that's the same. It's the same exact idea. But yeah, for me, I played. I mean, I've put in a lot of hours. I learned on keyboard mouse, believe it or not. I actually played the game keyboard mouse. And then I relearned the game on controller. So I relearned the game twice, which is a little insane. I think that's kind of an insane person.
Now, in learning the game, and I'm going to give you a follow-up question here that's going to be similar because the perspective is something that takes a long time to get used to. Because if you come in from the driving game perspective, you got a lot of explorers. You're
I do.
No, I meant me. I was looking at me too.
Oh,
If you're coming in from the driving video game perspective, your Forzas, you know, there's several different. Your perspective is you're always looking forward. You're looking at what's in front of you. And Rocket League offers you two different choices, and that's one of them. And the other is that the middle of your screen will always be directed at the ball, which means that as you're going forward, you can't actually see what's in front of you if the ball is in fact behind you. And so that is something that does take a good amount of time to get used to. But I noticed that that's something that probably takes some getting used to calling it as well. Your perspective sort of is always changing. Your angle, the player that it's giving you the perspective of, is that a challenge in calling it as much as it was in learning it?
No, it took time to get the only thing is that in Rocket League for if you're when you're commentating Rocket League, there's a lot going on always all the time. There's never a moment where you can not talk. It's not like League of Legends. It's not like Counter-Strike. It's not like these games where there are these build-ups to points of action. The action is constant. So what that means is you have to pick and choose what you highlight. So that's the only real like practice skill that I've tried to develop is what to talk about at any moment because there's always like something to talk about. So you have to pick and choose what you're mentioning. So as like normally when I'm commentating, I'm the play-by-play. So I'm actually casting the live material of the just basically what is the thing on screen doing. Um, that is a little bit so that takes a little bit of work, but at the same time, it's not too bad because there's always something happening on screen versus other situations. So no, I don't think I really, I don't think that was too bad. I will mention too, like as far as the ball cam is concerned, like ball cam versus like not having ball cam on, ball cam being what he was talking about earlier, where you can either be looking at the ball or not looking at the ball. At this point, that's muscle memory. Like turning that on and off like constantly is something that I don't even know how many times I do that every game, but you just kind of get used to it. You kind of run into a rhythm.
Yes, what Sam is saying there is that I presented that like you have to choose one or the other. The good players will toggle, and what Sam is saying is unconsciously now he will know to do that, and he doesn't necessarily even realize he's doing it. We talked a lot on this program about conscious versus unconscious play as things like autopilot, play all of those things sort of creep into Star Realms because it's such an addicting game and it's very much by habit. Uh, as I was getting interested in things like brain science and kind of watching some documentaries on how that kind of worked, Rocket League was what I could feel my brain doing exactly what they said. You're exactly right. It starts to take over in what felt very tedious and difficult. It took me well over a year to really be able to just drive the car and make successful contact with the
Yeah.
ball on a regular basis. And it was, though difficult, fun every single second. That's the thing I want to just press about this game. I don't have frustrating moments in it, even if I lose or do crappy. It's just fun. But now, yeah, I don't feel that I'm using a controller. I don't feel that the actual movement of the car, the getting around the course, is even decisions anymore. It's all just in my brain. It is unconscious. Now I'm thinking about how do I be a better teammate? How do I not get in people's way? How do I set up, my teammates to be successful?
Right.
Now, where are you in terms of the ranked skill tree. When we last talked about it, I was just creeping into gold,
Okay.
and I have not advanced much further. Even though I still feel pretty good about where I'm at, I've not really moved up. You told me that platinum is kind of where most people are, or
Yes.
gold and platinum.
I think that changed. I don't know how much that changed with the most recent updates, especially Epic kind of acquiring the rights to the game and Psyonix kind of like shipping that out to them. I hit Grand Champ last season.
And Grand Champ puts you in what type of percentile?
Top 2%.
Wow. Wow. That's nuts, man. You're nuts. We hadn't said it. How have we not said it yet? You're nuts.
How have we not said it? No, I actually did it on stream too. So there was a night where I was just hovering around like upper level. I was hovering around like upper level champ 3, and I said, you know what, guys, tonight I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna play Rocket League, and I'm gonna see if I can get Grand Champ. I'm so close. I just need like 4 wins. I need like 4 wins in a row. And it was that night on stream. So there's actually a clipped thing of me losing my mind because I hit it for the first time in over 3,000 hours of the game. I hit Grand Champ. Also, Colossus is a good card. I don't know if anybody else is interested in how good Colossus is as a card, but it's a good card. I'll say it. It's a good card.
People seem on the fence. No, they don't.
Interesting.
No, they don't.
No, yeah, I want to hear the people on the fence. Who's on the fence about the Colossus? Let's talk about being on the fence about the for the Colossus. Can we talk? This game went well for me. I do want to mention for the viewers who may or may not be there. I took a specific card as a meme and a troll, and that's all I want to say. I think anybody who was watching knows exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe even you do.
Okay, I didn't see what you sent me.
I sent you everything but missions.
Okay, I'm going to send that back at you. Okay, so it sounds that Rocket League is your number one in terms of streaming right now. Is that accurate?
As far as streaming, I mean, I still do a lot of marbles just because marbles is, as far as like commentary, like looking at expanding commentary. Yeah. Rocket League, hands down, 100%. That is my, like, pretty much it. I've thought about branching out to other areas. There are games that I certainly know enough about that I could do that. Games like Counter-Strike or StarCraft. But Rocket League is the one I think that kind of is here and is kind of stuck around.
So good transition, though. Let's talk about marbles. Marbles also kind of just blows me away. I'm very confused.
Yeah.
I'm kind of starting to get it. I've sort of accepted what it is and isn't.
Right.
How did a game about nobody actually doing anything become a thing?
Right. Correct. Bingo. Yes. Okay. Good. that is it. Okay. So here's what marbles is, and here's what I realized pretty quickly. Marbles is a canvas with which to paint in the colors of a community. Like that's it. So what happens is marbles is what I've been able to use to expand my community. Once again, going back to, remember, I have the voice and I have no idea what I'm doing behind it. And I really do mean that. I've become pretty proficient at like streaming and OBS and things like that. I am not an entrepreneur. I have no idea what I'm doing. So what I like about marbles is it takes the thinking out of that. I don't got to worry about not knowing what I'm doing anymore as far as marketing. I can just do marbles. People show up. I've met a bunch of really awesome people through it. And then I'm also doing casting. I'm doing these other things on the side, all these different games and puzzles and different things like that. And those all kind of come to fruition as, you know, like, so you have the core around marbles, but that it's just an expansion material to build a community. Because it's not like the people doing marbles are, you know, the people doing marbles are pretty awesome. Like, there's a lot of pretty cool people. In fact, most of the people, I think everybody who's currently On my moderator team is either a Star Realms moderator, a la like Brian or Cranky Day, or they're Marbles. They're from Marbles, and they're people who I've gotten close to and trust and everything. So that's it. So Marbles isn't something where there's no like professional casting scene. There's not like a professional thing with that. But as far as streaming is concerned, it is a very easy way to build a platform. I can shout at moving things. What done? That's the two inputs to the equation.
Just to that, for those that haven't stopped in to check it out with you or just don't know about it, let's explain to people what Marbles is.
Marble Racing, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Marbles on Stream. If you have a Twitch account, you can play Marbles for free. Make a free Twitch account up in the corner of your screen. Then in a chat box with any streamer playing Marbles on stream, you can get your marble into the track by typing !play. So that's it. That's end. There are a ton of different tracks. There's a billion different tracks. There's community tracks. So people are making all sorts of crazy stuff out there. You have no control over your marble. So yes, it is completely RNG based. And yet that it is, I will give it the same. It's akin to gambling. It's akin to pulling slots. That's it. So slots have this like kind of addiction thing with the way that like the chemistry in your brain operates. And that's exactly what Marbles is. It's working. The reason that it has what it has is one, the community. The community is nuts. Just like Star Realms. It's the same exact thing. The Star Realms community is insane. The Star Realms community seems to like transcend White Wizard. Like it really is like an awesome community. Marbles has the same community value where everybody, like all the streamers know each other kind of a thing. And everybody's always kind of like building each other up. It is just pulling slots. So if you remove the community, that's the grab. People might think like, oh, that's not a grab. And I'm like, have you ever done slots? Are you kidding me? So anyway, that's it. So that's Marbles.
And on the surface, again, someone might ask, okay, who? Now, my first couple times in, you had 12 or 13, and then it wasn't much longer. I came in one day, it was during a White Wizard Legend event. I did not participate in it, so I was looking for something to do, stop in. You had 190 people in there that day watching you commentate Marbles. They were obviously playing. I think you had some sort of tournament going on. I ended up playing in a whole bunch of them. This is a while ago. But that's a fair chunk of people, and it does, from what you're saying, I see kind of what, the makers make it very easy. It seems like anyone that comes in to play with you, if they go to another streamer, all of their stuff just transfers. It all just works all together. Is that correct? It's all cumulative.
Yes.
In seasons, kind of like.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Right. Correct.
And so now, that was a while ago.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. What do you have now? I mean, viewership for Marbles. Like I said, I was blown away at almost a couple hundred people. Is that kind of where you're at? Similar numbers today?
I wish that was a consistent thing. So you're right that it was a tournament. So it was an event, and that's why the numbers were as high as they are. But the events, they circulate. So there are events like constantly going in Marbles all the time. So like today, for example, there was an event. There was an event this morning. You can buy tournament kits basically that are like official sponsored things. And it's a great way for the studio to make money. So that's it. You can like buy. So it's like if White Wizard said, hey guys, we will let you we'll give you a tournament. It's like what they already kind of do where they give out foils, like, or at least I don't know if that's still the case, but
they've done tournament kits going back to the beginning. That was where they gave out a lot of the old original Kickstarter promos to people if they didn't kickstart. Yeah.
Right. So, yes, correct. So that's it. They just do tournament kits. So right now, like viewership ranges, like for me, viewership ranges on a good day, like this last Saturday. Today is Thursday. Excellent. So this last Saturday, I was getting between like 50 and 60. I was running a pro marbles league. So what I do, okay. There's some interesting aspects of marbles. Okay. One, there's the grinders and the non-grinders. The grinders are the people who are dropping marbles on a billion different streams because they're trying to get points. You get points for placing well in marble tracks. That's it. So there's people out there who are just dropping tons of marbles all over the place trying to get as many points as possible. Then there are the people who don't give a shit about that. I'm one of those people. No, I'm there for the passion, the excitement, the fun things, like when a marble does something it shouldn't be able to do. Like that's what I'm there for. That's the fun. Like not taking smuggler for 4 turns, then taking it and scrapping it and getting rid of it and never looking back. Like I want to do stuff like that. Like that's what I'm into. So Pro Marbles League is a league where I run the most difficult broken tracks in the game that people make, like somebody's first marble track and they leave a huge gap in between 2 pieces and it's like impossible. So that's it. I just run a bunch of maps like that, like every Saturday, and it gets people, it's fun. So if you look at other marble streamers, a lot of marble streamers treat it as like a podcast atmosphere. So they're on screen, they're talking to people, and they're running races. Then you go over to my stream, and I'm like screaming at people and yelling, and I'm casting commentating as though this is like a professional atmosphere kind of a thing, and it's very different. And I think that helps. I don't know, because once again, I'm not an entrepreneur. I think that helps, that I can be juxtaposed next to people who aren't yelling at their marbles.
No, I've gone in and watched a few others do marbles, and I'm just not compelled. Your version is the best. There is
right. And I appreciate you saying that, because that is what I'm trying to do, is that if somebody stops across my stream and they're like, okay, this is cool, and then they go to another stream, in theory, there are a lot of really talented streamers out there, and they're like, okay, this is too chill for me. There's nothing really going on, and I don't like marbles enough to just hang out. And then you go back to my stream, and I'm like, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to build that. Maybe we can turn that, like what you already mentioned. Maybe we can turn that into something more long-term for commentary down the road.
Now, something you said a little bit ago, it seems like the user contribution, or sort of user created rather, that track is a big aspect of marbles as well.
Yes.
Do you ever occasionally check out Gel's marble runs on YouTube? You ever?
Yes. Oh, I'm so happy you said that. Yeah, tell me. So first, tell me. Yeah. So what do you think of those? What are your thoughts?
So it's very strange, because I remember there being marble run builder kits as a kid. Weren't very good. They were kind of fun. I mean, you were putting together, you were creating something, but it was obviously out of all these parts. And then I completely forgot about that even existing. I come into your stream and I'm like, what is this? I don't really understand this. And then for some reason, early in Corona, one of my hobbies, I got really into Legos. And I started watching some Lego YouTube channels, and when you start getting into these hands-on hobby toys, some of the other videos sneak their way in, and I come across Gel's marble runs, and I see the absolute devotion and the screw it, everyone can think I'm crazy, but this is what I do, and this is what I do well. And then he hires a commentator that I feel like is someone that's probably a lot like you, that was just really good at that kind of stuff, and he's found a cool gig for it now. And then I went one step further. Do you know what Gravitrax are?
Yes,
I went and spent like $400 on Gravitrax, and it's kind of your fault, but I like them. They're a lot of fun.
Good. No, that's that. You're welcome. Are you incorporating those at all with Legos, or is that just something you've been messing around with?
I do see that on the Marble Run channel that there are Legos intermixed in all the time.
Right.
He's so creative. Those setups are outstanding. If anyone hasn't checked those out, but it's very strange how many people I'll bring it up to, and they're like, "Oh yeah, all the time."
Right. And that's something that I know that what's his name?
I just got beat again.
Yeah, that was good. That went well. I'm having a good night. I'm having a good time. I I should know the guy, the HBO, John Oliver. John Oliver.
Okay, yeah.
He like made a little like funny like LOL thing about it, where he just said, "Hey guys, by the way, so now that all sports are done, check this out." And I think that certainly helped the publicity. It's worth noting, I looked up about these marble runs, and he has a museum that's his own personal museum about his marble history, and he has been building marbles tracks since he was like a kid, and he never stopped. That's it. He just never outgrew it. So it's kind of like pseudo admirable. Like it's not like he just kind of did it one day and said, I'm going to be serious about this. He just like, that was his life. Like he has in that museum, he has some of the tracks he built when he was a kid, and they are better than any track I could ever hand make ever. Like he was into it. Like that was his like architectural engineering mind clearly found something interesting. So the fact that it is what it is, I think, is due to his devotion and his just the fact that he's just into it. You know what I mean?
And use of all the different materials available, all the different types, sizes, styles of marble run materials, including these Gravitrax I just mentioned, which are sort of newer. Ravensburger of all companies makes them, the puzzle people. But then, in addition, he'll go out and he'll carve tracks out of terrain like sand. And
yeah, I saw that
snow.
beach one. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And but these are like good. I mean, he really does take like track building to a professional level. Because like the sand one, I watched it a few times. There's one marble gets stuck in one spot, but the fact that I was watching it like the whole time, none of them get stuck in sand. It's a long track. How long has it been sitting there? How do you like? Did he have a team of people like help him or something? I don't know. I have a lot of respect for the guy because he's put his heart into it, and he's been rewarded. Millions of views on these videos. Like people are anxiously waiting for the next one to come out. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think the very first one that I kind of watched through and then watched another, I'm like, all right, who's watching these? Well, I look and the video is like a month old and it has like 345,000 views.
Right.
And yeah, here we get to this last season that he did, and it's in fact sponsored by John Oliver.
Right. Yep.
Okay, so
Can't
let me
believe I
see
couldn't think of the name.
if I can pay attention and maybe get a game here.
I do have a surprise guest, by the way.
So I was hoping that you would.
Yeah. The surprise guest says that I need to wear my hat. So the surprise guest has left to retrieve my hat. So I will be donned in the proper garb.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Now.
You took my battle barge, didn't you?
I did.
Oh no.
I did not. No, it's there. It's hanging out.
Sorry, you're right. I thought it was where the Rasmussen was sitting.
Oh wait, there's.
And I didn't even take it.
Okay. There we go. All right. I am hatted.
So we can pause here for a second. Hello, Miss Sarah T.
Oh,
Hello.
We'll give a
Oh,
quick
she can't hear, I'm realizing.
I cannot.
Yeah, no, let's go let's give her the.
Can you do that and then I'll do this? Oh, this is so bad. Do we have headphones? Like headphones that aren't these?
Do you want to dictate what he's?
No, let's just. It's okay. Let's just give.
Matt, your hat looks too small. Do I need to make you a new one?
I don't know. You're making me disappear. Look, I'm disappearing.
Can I just let's just have her have the headset. I'll just do one-on-one with her for maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
Love it.
Sarah, you cool with maybe one-on-one with me for 5 or 10 minutes?
Sure.
Rather than kind of have to to go back and forth and translate through with the audio.
Yeah.
So let me just give you a quick intro here. So listen, your hats have been featured, and I'm going to try to readjust it backwards here because I'm looking at myself backwards.
It
Several
looks like I owe you a new hat because it looks a little too small.
several of my guests have worn their hats this season, and everyone loves them. We've been very much pushing them, and I do want to give away people, a way to contact you about them. We'll do that in a little bit, but before we get there, so yeah, you're the creator of hats. Also, two wins on me in dodgeball this week. That hurt.
I know. I did my math wrong on the last one, though. I thought it was 30, and then it came back 29. I was like, 29?
So you didn't have like more damage in hand. You just would have reconsidered maybe going for a second. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
I noticed that, and I thought I mean, I think I had some damage behind it. I figured you might have just decided, let's just get this one over with so you can retain the ball. But I wasn't sure. But very nice job. It's been a humbling season. I didn't even realize you were playing. And then you get me in the race, and you win, and then you beat me in the throw.
Well, then Tuna slapped me pretty hard, so.
John is a beast. You and Sarah, incidentally, is also the last person that I played Magic the Gathering with.
Back at Origins?
I know. It seems like I know. I don't really get much Magic in. It was 14 months ago at Origins, 16 months ago. So, dude, I really enjoy this dynamic when I am able to get, sort of both halves of a Star Realms couple. Let's talk a little bit about this. How's your dynamic at home? Are you guys competitive with each other in general, or is that just something that carries over into gaming?
Oh, we are. Well, I would say it's mostly in gaming, but what did you tell me the other day about us being competitive? That you'll never let me win because of something? What did you say?
I will never let you win because I respect you too much.
And
yeah.
And that's legit.
It's worth noting that the not letting her win has resulted in her knocking me out of tournaments at gaming conventions pretty consistently.
That's right. At PAX 2018, we were in the top 8 for the Legends tournament, and we got paired up, and I beat him, and then I ran out crying because I was so upset.
And this is exactly what I was going to say. I mean, I don't think there's any question. You're not the type of player that needs really any sort of help from your opponent. So
He says it from an opponent.
That's the truth.
So you're actively, obviously, in dodgeball. And
this is my first season in dodgeball. Yes.
Oh, it is. Okay. So you are playing online competitive events. Are you in any others at the moment at all?
I am a rogue. One of the dirty rogues.
Give me these back. And the interview's over. All right. And it's done. End of interview.
I have also done many Sunday casuals way back when they were more regular. I've done a few endurance challenges. I'm going through a breakup with my phone right now. I'm reading this book about how to break up with your phone, so I haven't been on my phone as much, playing as actively as I have been in the past. And it's been kind of rough not being able to go to conventions and see everybody. But
yeah,
I did do the last 2 digital, not the one in Germany, but I did the other 2 digital Legends tournaments. Didn't do very good, but I was in them.
Well, that was one of the highlights of getting to a convention is always seeing everybody, and that meant very much the two of you at Origins. Were you planning on getting to at least Origins again this year? Had it happened?
Yeah, I took the time off already for it. We were already coordinating with people. We actually already had an Airbnb paid for. And it's funny that you bring up conventions because the hats are the reason that, or a convention is the reason I started making hats, is because of the last White Wizards game fair. I started to make them to raise money to send Sam to the game fair.
I did not know that was how
Isn't
it
that a
started.
crazy connection?
That is really awesome.
Yeah, I remember he had to leave really early to get to the airport, and I woke up really early the day after I had my surgery on my mouth, and I was stitching Dusto's name into his hat so he could have it for the convention.
Like, I'm leaving out the door to go to the airport, and Sarah's putting Dusto's name in the hat. It's like, it's so funny.
And then I crashed out for my pain pills right after that.
So that is what you guys are hearing. These are custom. You get your in-game name. I understand you even did some custom colorization for the Dusto.
Yes, I did owe him a hat from probably 2 years ago almost now when we were doing Star Surprise, the Grand Prix, when you used to do
The Star
those.
Realms Prix. Yeah.
And the prize was whoever won got a hat. And Dusto won, but he already had a hat. And his was always way too small, but he was such a good sport and wore it every time anyways. So it had been so long that I made him a really cool custom hat. I do have the patterns, and I've made little swatches of each faction. It's just I haven't been able to really put those into hats or scarves or anything yet because I have so many other hats that I'm working on. I have 5 in the queue right now.
So that, I guess, is my next question. I mean, we've helped push hats, but I didn't touch base with you to know if you're actually looking for business. You know, the original thought for it, like we just learned, was to fund something specific. If my viewers would like to reach out to you, even if it ends up being somewhat of a wait, because that could happen, how can they do so?
Well, I am on the Facebook page. My IGN is Sarah T. So if you just go to I think it's the pinned post, and you look for my name, just Facebook message me, or even just post a message in the Star Realms page. It takes me about 2 weeks right now to grind out a hat. And it's only $25, and that includes shipping if you live in the US. I recently sent a hat to Northern Ireland for a little 10-year-old's birthday. Toothless Ted was his name.
It's a great name.
I know.
I'm like, who's Toothless Ted? What is this? I've never heard of this person.
So I will ship internationally, and then it's just $20 plus the shipping because it's about $15 to ship to most countries. And so there's one in Germany. Well, I have one waiting to go to Germany. There's one in Belgium now, and then there's one in Northern Ireland. So we're worldwide.
Well, do reach out to her, and that everyone, I want it to be known that I had a good source who is very into the craft world, said Sarah is slightly undercharging for these because they are custom. So feel free to pad that a little bit. I can tell she's uncomfortable with me saying that, but
a little bit, but
these are nice guys. These are custom made each one. So
also, let me know if you have an overly large head, because I've had to make a few new ones for people like Silent Owl and Dusto who have large noggins. I tend to make them smaller because I know they stretch over time. So let me know if you need a special size. And I will do some custom colors too if I have them or if I can easily get them. Like I made mine purple. I'm making a pink one right now where the symbol is black, but the background's bright pink. Luke Mars, the real Void, asked for a baby
pink headband?
Baby pink headband with blue, like a baby blue symbol. Not a hat. He wanted a headband. I probably won't do something like that again, but if it's something easily customizable, I'm fine doing that.
And Sarah, are there any other things you're really into right now at all? Have you been playing any other games or anything like that you are passionate about?
I always just play Magic because we're in Seattle area. There's only one shop that's doing Magic in person right now, so I do that every Friday night. But because I don't like playing the new Magic the Gathering arena because I get too angry on it, honestly. Yes, I'm very competitive. And so if I play in person, and I'm against a person face to face, I don't get as angry when I lose. But when it's on a computer, I get pretty angry.
Well, that's pretty funny.
So.
Well, we very much appreciate that you gave us some time here tonight. I'd still be happy to get a game in with you, but again, I know that I don't know if you're in a position right now if you want to jump in with the game with me or
Oh,
not.
like this right now?
Well, I mean, again, I know it's one set up is with
It's my bedtime.
I'm playing with Sam. But
What?
no, if you're just hopping in for a cameo, that is very much okay as well. And Sam and I can certainly continue our game. But again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
joining
having me.
us.
And I'm happy to make more hats. Like I said, I have 5 on the list right now. So, but if you need to get one by Christmas, I can probably make an exception to the rule. So.
Oh boy.
Okay, I better
Incoming
go.
15 hats before Christmas.
No.
Oh my god.
All right, thank you for having me, Matt.
And good games, friend.
Yes, you too. Oh, the OG.
Oh, and here's the OG with the palm. You got with palm.
The very first hat.
Wow.
There it is. This is the very first Star Realms hat. There it is, the prototype.
Yep. Oh, come on.
Well, awesome. I was so happy we got some Sarah for a little while.
Yes.
So getting kind of back into the game.
Oh. Yeah, we were playing Star Realms, weren't we?
I think we're not even going to mess around with any cycling. We're just going to grab that arc.
I think Arc Animosity is kind of like a dead horse that has been thoroughly beaten. I mean, but just for the short of it, do you feel the same kind of animosity, or do you see it as just it's a part of the game? If you're playing with year 1 promos, just prep for it.
I've never really been salty about individual cards. I've always taken the stance that if you just choose to include a set in your game, you understand that you are subject to some really great starts that could result in some disproportionate front ends to a game that may result in a loss. You play again and again and again and again and again. I feel like in a day where a third turn win exists,
Yeah.
how much salt can we really still retain for the arc 4 years later? 5 years, I mean, what type of disproportionate start, what type of, oops, I got a Colossus into my hand first turn, can you really be that upset about today? The game is just so customizable that if you don't want to participate in the contexts that lead to those particular starts or those particular cards or those particular chaos elements, you just don't have to.
Yeah.
And I feel like the people that really were whining at the time have either just moved on to other games and are whining about them too, or they've accepted this is what the game is, and let's find how I prefer to play this game.
I'd be interested. I mean, on that part, like the psychological part of Star Realms, I'd be really curious to know if there are people, if there are like salt mines out there who have changed their tune. In the gaming world, the salt trains exist. They don't seem to have a very good time playing the games they play. Sometimes they can, but that's a generalized statement. It's more me saying that typically people who can get really, really frustrated or feel kind of entitled to the way a game should turn out don't usually change. I hope they do. But they don't usually end up getting a fresh perspective. I think the Star Realms community might be one of the best places for that change to occur. It's a very generally wholesome and friendly community. So unlike Rocket League, for example, since it's kind of on topic, that community, it's rough around the edges. We'll call it that. Yeah, and I actually forgot my original point, but yes, that's the end of my talking.
No, just salt in general, salt in cards, salt in Star Realms. No, it's gonna sound so backwards when I say it because I very much like to help people learn this game, and I like to get better. I like to feel like I'm getting better. You know, deck builders, I've said it many times, are the multiple choice test of the strategy card game, of the strategy card games. And you can guess your way into winning, but it means that people can sort of guess their way out of you winning. And I think people that might have salt are just coming from more collectible card games, tradable card games, things that they can put into a constructed format, or they just have such a good handle on some sort of limited format where they're winning 70% of the time, 75% of the time. They're always ending up in their local tournament, finals. And you get to Star Realms, you get to deck builders, and you're teaching your friends, and they actually can come close to or maybe even beat you their first time playing with a little help from you. And that's just kind of a different nuance than something, like an Epic or maybe a Hearthstone, something like that. And so people I think they're used to all that winning. They come into Star Realms and they feel like they're only winning about half the time, because that's really we're all really only winning.
Right. Correct. Yeah.
So is this the game I turn this around?
It might be. It might be. I still have some faith. I still have faith.
So we've talked about a lot of streaming, your community contributions. I didn't realize till I had messaged you and you got back to me that you also had gone all the way up into the Platinum League in Board Game Geek. Yes.
I have a pseudo, like, I wouldn't say it's embarrassing, but it shows like my naivete. And like, this is something I'm pretty open about these days, because I don't think there's anything to necessarily hide. But like, I was like undiagnosed with like pretty significant like anxiety, just general anxiety, and like depression growing up. And so I got like finally like diagnosed after a long time. I was misdiagnosed with ADHD originally. That was awesome. Then I tried every single medication for ADHD to no effect. So I got all the side effects, which was super cool, without having anything fixed. And then I finally, anyway, got medicated. So it like changed everything. But before I had that, I was just like so overly anxious that I would just like do things, just like I would just do things because I was just like, this is uncomfortable. I'm going to do something. And when I was in Platinum, so I make it up to Platinum. Now you remember there was a post on Board Game Geek with Flying Arrow and Sweet Justice, maybe. Do you remember this? And it went through hand by hand. It was the only the only top level breakdown like that existed on the internet at the time.
I do not remember seeing that, and I was not as present. You're talking in Board Game Geek, or was it in the Facebook page?
In the forums. No, in the forums of Board Game Geek.
Yeah, I was not quite as present for those. I mean, I'd post my games, but I didn't follow. Sorry, go ahead though.
No, yeah, that's fair. So it just went through piece by piece, that's what unlocked the realization of the depth of strategy in Star Realms, despite its very chaotic nature. And it was so fascinating to me so I joined Platinum, and I'm immediately like, oh, okay. Hey, and I sent everyone in Platinum a message. Hey, here's who I am. Oh my gosh, do you remember the Flying Arrow thing that happened? I want to do the same thing for every single one of my matches this season. I want to have a full forum for every single one of them, and I want your thoughts and opinions. So we're looking at Flying Arrow was in there, Homer Jr. I'm trying to remember like all the names. I think Greylag may have been in it that season. Invasion was in there. And so I did that. So then I start recording every single match. I start sending messages. And about halfway through the season, I realize, why did I do this? What have I done? And it fell apart. I didn't post a single forum thing, and it all went down. So all that to say, big old rambling talk to say, yeah, I was in Platinum once.
Well, I mean, that getting there getting into platinum. Separate from how I guess how things go down each season within platinum, just getting into it is such a climb, and you have to have so many good seasons, not necessarily consecutively, but within a short amount of time, or you are going to get caught up and sort of relegated back down. It's been so long since I've unfortunately played in any of those or looked at the forums.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I didn't realize that you had gone, that high up in the competitive play.
It was actually a very it was an excellent experience, but I lost a triple tiebreaker for relegation that season. There was me and two other people. I forget who they were. People that everybody is well aware of, and we had to do like a three-way tiebreak. And yeah, I lost a three-way tiebreak for relegation out of platinum that season. So that was kind of heartbreaking. But yeah.
So I kind of asked Sarah, I'll ask you as well. Obviously, we talked about Rocket League. We talked about Star Realms a little bit. Are there other games that you are recently playing that you're interested in?
I would say yes. The issue is there's too many. This is I mean, maybe a segue into a topic that I would love to hear your opinion on or your thoughts on. There's too many games out. So that's like step one of acknowledgement. Step two of acknowledgement is there's too many good games out. Step three of acknowledgement is I think there is a problem with game production and game companies right now where they are producing inferior content and then rushing it. That to say, I would be interested in kind of hearing your own thoughts, if you have any on that aspect. As far as games that I'm playing and interested in, there are puzzle games in particular that I am currently playing that are very. We just finished Manifold Garden. That's really fun. We have another puzzle game, The Sojourn. There's a game called Rhine. There's Cyberpunk 2077 comes out December 10th, and I am just like, I can't contain my excitement for when that finally gets here. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I'm like out here playing and being involved in, but there's too many games, man. I don't know. It goes crazy.
Yeah, I get you. I think what you're expressing, my friend Ed talks to me about this all the time. If you give him a shelf full of games, he's gonna have such a hard time picking one. Where if you give him, here's a shelf and on it is 2 games, we'll pick it. It'll be easy. You're right. Not only are there so many choices today, but there are so many good choices. And I hate to call that a problem. That's a good problem to have.
Right.
But it makes you sort of have to pick what kind of gamer you are. I am a honer. I'm going to find a game that I like, and I'm going to tell myself, wow, I see depth here. Let's play this 1,000 times. And let's figure out that depth, and let's get better at it. And so therefore, I play 33,000 games of Star Realms. I play 6,500 games of Rocket League. I play the crap out of Scythe. Now, the downside is I miss out on a whole bunch of really awesome games. But I accept that sort of as the trade-off. I mentioned my friend Ed a second ago. Ed is a game taster, and if it were up to him, he would play a new tabletop board game every time we got together. Every time our friends met, we would play something new, and that would be perfect for him. But what he loses is some of the depth in these games. He's just getting the surface. But I think there is a way to enjoy both of these perspectives, and maybe that's kind of my answer. Do you see that as well?
I do. But this is something like, I mean, we're getting into kind of potentially conversation just about like overindulgence and like just maximum saturation in like the current society. But I have a real issue missing out on gaming experiences like that. It's like a hang up for me. There's something about it that I can't like get over sometimes. So I end up being a taster, not by choice, but almost by like some weird like mental necessity to like find a game that's good before it's too late or something. Like, oh, I'm going to try this game, and it's like, oh my god, like I can't believe I just spent 2 hours playing that game because of this reason or something. And so I have to keep reminding myself, similar to what like your like ethos kind of is in that regard, where it's like, this game is good, I like what I'm seeing, I will put time into this. End. Hard stop. There's that. Done. I acknowledge there are other things I won't do. I acknowledge that that is okay, and that this experience itself is worth it for the opportunity cost of not having these other gaming experiences. So that's something I'm trying to like change right now, just because there are like there's just too many games, and so I'm trying to just realize, you know, okay, we can play this game and finish it before starting another one, and it's okay. It's okay to do that. Same thing with books, right? And that's what I tried to start to think about, is like, when I read a book, I don't stop reading. I know I finished the damn thing. It could be a bad book and I will finish that book. I hate leaving books unfinished. So I just have to like try to apply that same mentality to gaming as well. It sounds like that's kind of what you do already.
Yeah, I mean, there's just not enough time in the day, and whether you're talking about gaming or the 6 streaming services I pay for and then end up watching like one a month. You know, I'll get into a show and that's all I'll watch for that month, and the others. And yeah, too many options anxiety is a thing. And sometimes if someone just comes to you and says at the right time, hey, here's a game I want you to check out and play, if you have a few minutes and just decide to check it out, you know, that instead of a friend coming and saying, hey man, I just brought over 6 games, you want to pick one and play, that can be fun too, but there might be some anxiety. I mean, I picked up a game at Origins last year called the game of how to pick a game. It's a little sort of pre-game night. It wasn't great.
Oh, what?
It was a game about how to pick what games you're going to play. I mean,
there you go.
But yeah, I mean, that's the case with, I mean, you just look at Kickstarter. Kickstarter is constant. There's always games to play. I think I most feel it in video games. I see all of these games come through, and in the past I would have bought a bunch of them, but if I were to do that today, it would just, I realize that would be, those would be mistakes. Because while I might want something and feel like I'm going to play it, am I actually going to play it? Among all these other things.
Oh. I mean, I think that is just like being a modern gamer who has Steam almost like requires you to have 150 games you'll never touch, but you bought because they had good reviews and they were on sale. Like, I don't know how many of those games exist in my library, but I know they're there, and I'm very nervous to count how many there are. And so, especially when the sale is like, this is a $50 game, you can get it for 25 cents. We'll pay you $1 if you take this game into your library. And it's like, okay, like, I'll do it. Like, you don't have to, take my money. You don't have to tell me twice, and then never touch it, of course. I think you are spot on when you say you kind of have to say what kind of a gamer you are. Think like if we go back into gaming, there was always like the game or maybe the like 2 games. And they're like the games that every person had played. Every single person had played these games. Now we don't have that. Like, there are those games that come out. I think Cyberpunk is a good example. World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, StarCraft, Counter-Strike, League of Legends. There are the big games that, saturate most of gaming culture. But now you have to not only choose what kind of a gamer you are, you have to choose what kind of a gamer you are and what games you will be that gamer with. And that could be a very defeating decision to have to make when it seems every week there's another, AA or AAA title that comes out. I mean, Watch Dogs Legion just came out. It looks fantastic. I'm never going to play it, but I know that I'm missing out on, this award-winning game. Anyway.
I think it is also okay to understand if you're someone that just kind of likes the idea of purchasing a game, because that is fun. I mean, going back to when I was a kid, going to the store to buy a video game, that was special, you know.
Right.
And I think as an adult, I buy games, I don't play them, and I'm like, okay, I made another mistake. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I'll have that game to maybe play again soon, and I may or may not. The other thing that's interesting about our culture now is when these video games come out, they may only be at full price for a month. I mean, I'd say my most recent mistake, Joe Rogan had on one of the designers of the most recent Doom, the Doom Eternal, and I kind of listened, and I'm like, I got pumped. I'm like, I haven't played Doom forever. I think I'm going to go buy that. So I did. I bought it. I played through sort of the intro, the teach you how to play, and then I didn't get back to it for like another month, and by that point it's on half price sale.
Right.
It's part of the Xbox Game Pass for free. I mean, it's
right.
And so sometimes,
dude, it's a mess. Yeah, that's true.
If you're on the fence, you can be like, well, I kind of want this game, but if I wait even 6 weeks,
if you can just manage to stomach that much time, then yeah. It's also kind of worth noting in regards to that. It's very similar to, I think it's very similar to watching things live. So for me, I can't really DVR live events. If anything, I'll just watch the highlight, or maybe I'll watch a rerun if I really want to see it. But there's something about a live experience, and I think that's what pulls a lot of people into day of release kind of stuff, because you want to be in the zeitgeist of the moment. You want to be it. You want to saturate in the excitement that hundreds of thousands of other people are feeling in the exact same moment. And for that, that makes a lot of sense. I can completely understand that. And yet, if you can hold on, you're going to be okay. We'll drop this from 60 to 30 in about a month and a half, and you can play it then.
It is crazy to see that now esports are filling arenas, that they're building arenas that are specific and meant for watching League of Legends and Rocket League and all of these things. Again, that's just such a crazy direction. Again, I'll just admit, when I first even heard that Twitch was a thing, my initial thought was like, people don't want to watch people play games. And I'll admit, obviously, I was just wrong.
We'll get that out of the way.
And at the same time, poll 10 people, they're still going to be like, 5 or 6 are going to be like, no, not in a million years I don't want to watch people play video games. Why would I? But yeah, what a direction it's turned. And I've hardly even touched some of these big games like League of Legends. You've mentioned some of the other big ones. I mean, I did play Counter-Strike, but that was so long ago.
Right.
I do love hearing that it's still a standard for competitive shooters. That's great to hear.
It may be on the way out. It may be on the way out, but it is still there. Yeah.
Being you've brought it up a couple times, did you play much Counter-Strike?
I played Counter-Strike Source almost professionally. Almost. And that is just by the same means that I'm like a grand champ Rocket League player. I achieved it once. So we had a tournament. I played Counter-Strike Source to death, and I competed in it. I was very competitive. We had a team. We would practice. We would run strats. We'd figure out when to throw smokes, flashbangs, calls, what to call certain things, directions to go, different formations to do. We were into it, and I loved it. It was my entire gaming life was just Counter-Strike for 4 years. And then we got really close in a tournament. We placed one away from going into the online professional tournament, or being like in the online league that was considered professional, and we lost that match, and then that's it. I don't know, that's the end of that story. But I got close, and I love Counter-Strike.
That's
Absolutely
incredible.
love it. I think it kind of paved the way for the like competitive shooter format in general. Like even Overwatch, like all these games go right back to 1.5 or 1.6 Counter-Strike, right? Like all the super old school 5v5 tactical shooter. I think every single team-based FPS game can thank Counter-Strike for existing.
Yeah, man. What years? I'm sorry. I'm suddenly looking at my play and realizing. Um. So I'm sorry. What? How long ago was this that you were so active in Counter Strike?
So it was the source days. So we're looking at, let's see. Source was released 2000, like I was still in high school, 2004, 3, 4, 5, something like that. So I was in like pretty heavy 2005 to 2009, we'll call, somewhere around there.
So I think going back to your question, what I'm hearing, I mean, you very much I think are in line with sort of my camp in honing, because what I'm hearing is that when you do find a game, you're going a slight level beyond even what you asked. You're not deciding how much time to put into a game based on how good it is. You're going a step further and saying, I want to play this at a high level.
Hmm.
And I think that's not something that everyone just thinks to do. I mean,
Hmm.
I looked right away at Star Realms and I went, okay, when I learned about Star Realms and I found out there was going to be an app, I said, I want to play the crap out of this game so I can hit the ground running. When it's an app, I want to be good at it. But even then, I'm like, it's still a relatively, small pond.
Hmm.
When you take on something like big production first person shooters, in Rocket League, I don't think people realize, you said top 2 percentile. When I go into my playlist, there are 100,000 people just in the playlist, let alone several 100,000 people online. I mean, that's a big game, and you're tackling high level play on a game of that scale. I forget how I was tying this back to your original question, but in terms of picking games, I don't know that there are that many out there that are good enough that compel me to go, I want to play the crap out of this, and I want to find other players, and I want to win tournaments.
So this is actually kind of fascinating, because this is kind of like revelatory for me, because I would describe myself as a honer, and you are bringing up a very good point. That's like, hey, guess what? You're a honer. So I'm kind of like, well, you're right, but I guess how am I thinking of this differently to say that I'm not a honer if I am a honer? I mean, we haven't even brought up Team Fortress 2. I don't know if you ever played Team Fortress 2,
Little
but
bit.
that game just destroyed my free time. I put more hours into that game than any game I've ever played in my life, and I played World of Warcraft. Like, I think there's something about the multiplayer aspect games that I will take the time. I will dive in, and I want to be good. I do not like not being good at things. If I have to, I will go buy books and read books until I'm good at something I'm doing, because it just frustrates me to struggle. As in, I like struggling, but only struggling to get better. So for me, but like with single player games, that's okay. So it's like, for something in my head is actually separating out multiplayer games that are competitive and single player games that are not. Single player games, I am what you got, like a taster, as you described it, where I am constantly jumping between experiences. Multiplayer games, I don't do that. I will just play 2 of them, and I'll play them a lot, because you have to get good, and I'll play whatever people I know are playing. and that's it. That's so what you've just kind of made me realize that I've been separating out multiplayer games and single player games as different gaming experiences, which they certainly are. But I would wonder, am I the only one who has that difference where honing and tasting is different between how many people are involved in the game itself?
No, I don't think so at all. I think that what I'm hearing, and I understand, you enjoy that little charge you get when you can beat that one person one-on-one. I am better than you right now at this moment, period. And you don't get that. You don't get that in a game versus an AI. It's just not the same thing. I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's that the honer in you or the one-on-one I'm better than you is just stronger. But as a gamer in general, we all still do like tasting and seeing what is out there, what the other experiences are. Just something completely different. Like I said, with Rocket League, when that came around, I'm like, this is so incredibly different than every other game I play. And I never would have known if I didn't do a little bit of tasting.
Right. Right.
This is awesome. I feel like we are helping baX explore his inner gamer.
I may be open to self-reflection like to a fault. So it's always like brilliant when I can realize in a moment like holy shit, I actually didn't that was not 5 seconds ago I wasn't thinking that. And now I am. And then like I just start to like kind of lose it. So that's excellent. So yeah, so I'm a honer multiplayer. I want to be better. I want to be better. I want to compete with a team though. I don't do 1v1 in Rocket League at all. If you want to improve in Rocket League, by the way, you should do ones. Like, geez, I need to play more ones because it forces you to be good. You have to. You cannot make mistakes. That's how you improve in the game. That aside, I like the team aspect. I like a good pass play in Rocket League, a good like flashbang for your teammates to take a sight. Like executing well is just phenomenal. It is so phenomenal and it's such a good feeling. So I think that's something I really chase in those moments.
It was a huge realization for me after, I don't know, several months of my teammates swearing at me in chat, I guess. That I was just a shitty teammate. You know, and once you kind of figure out the mechanics of how to drive, how to at least put yourself in a position to maybe make contact, realizing that you have to actively work at being a good teammate, it's an important realization. Now, what's kind of weird for me, you said you don't ever play single. I don't even ever play two. I always play standard threes. I don't care whether they are a team or whether they came together randomly. I'll play both of those lists. But what I don't do, I never really mic up. I never hook up with a team. So I sort of had to learn that pattern and etiquette.
Yeah.
Entirely non-verbally and through pattern and watching and realizing I was being a shitty teammate.
Right.
To go,
right.
I need to make my contact and get out of the way, rotate back around, get in goal. Like it took me a while. Now, that said, for these teams that play as teams, do they rotate or are they actually just in designated positions? Is there a goalie that's typically the goalie?
No, constant rotation. Constant rotation. Basically, the way I look at, like, if you were to kind of look at an over the top view, a bird's eye view, it's each team is two gears rotating and just taking turns, their gear just mashing into the other one. And it's that's it. And they're constantly churning. That's a very simplified way to put it, but no, there's everybody does everything. There are no kind of like determined positions at all. The game moves too fast for determined positions. At least in my experience.
So you brought up Team Fortress. Now, I did play several Half-Life mods.
Excellent.
Of course, Counter-Strike. I dabbled a little bit in Team Fortress. The one I hardly ever bring up because it was so niche, though. Do you by chance remember one called Ricochet?
Dude, Ricochet was one of the only games that came pre-installed in your Steam before Steam was as big as it was. Like, Steam was a thing,
Really?
but Ricochet was, yeah, if you had, Ricochet was always like installed in the Steam client. At least my Steam client. Like, it was just always there, and my friends, we only played it a few times, but
Now, we're talking the
that's
same
it.
thing, right? It's jumping around, throwing discs like discs of Tron.
Yes.
On platforms. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Very niche. There were so few servers, and I played on the only really active one, and there was I don't know, probably about 30 or 35 players. Weirdly, one of the people up in the Rocket League world, I think, is Cloud Fuel. I don't know if you know. He was on.
Yeah.
I played Ricochet with Cloud Fuel. It was kind of funny.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Holy.
I actually sort of reconvened with him when I got into Rocket League, and when I saw that he was like, "Are you the same Cloud Fuel?" I was like, "Holy shit, yeah, I am." And we agreed like that. That was the first game I played that had this sort of almost physical element to it, where you were throwing things, trying to match up timing. It was physics, and he agreed that he scratched certain itches there as well. So that's the one that I really dove into, other than Counter-Strike. It sounds like you got really into Team Fortress. Tell me about that.
I mean, Team Fortress 2 was just absolutely brilliant. I mean, for those who aren't familiar with Team Fortress, you have 9 different roles essentially you can pick between soldier, medic, scout, heavy, pyro, demo man. There's all spy, sniper. Like, you have these very specific roles. The graphics are a little cartoonish, which gives it this like kind of casual, we're all doing this for fun vibe. But the game itself is hyper competitive, but really fun. And so that's it. I just found I was just it was an endless hole of strategy. Like, it's just, we go right back to the multiplayer strategy aspect. Like, I want to be the best this role that is out here. I want to be the best this role that's out here. And that's it. So Team Fortress is really fun. Try to get into that competitively, but didn't have as much fun with that because the game was just too much like fun in its original state. It's worth noting, like, Ricochet reminded me a lot of Quake. I don't know if you have any experience with Quake.
A little bit.
Okay. Very similar, just you're jumping around, very quick movement, requires pretty intense accuracy with like hyper retro graphics. Like, this was before, graphics engines really became anything worth writing home about. So there's these big boxes, you're just, every person's just a big bunch of polygons all shoved and mashed together with glue. And yeah, you're just trying to be as accurate as possible with hitboxes that you don't know how they function. But yeah, Ricochet reminded me a lot of Quake, quite a bit.
Yeah, I do miss it a little bit. That's back in my mouse and keyboard days. That long gone. for all those types of games, it's been console ever since.
So console, tell me, so we got next gen consoles like come to the forefront. Are you a diehard Microsoft, diehard Sony? Where do you land?
I don't want to say I'm too tied to any one particular brand. I mean, because I've got my games library pretty built up through Xbox, and that's where a lot of my, in the past, friends that I would have played games with were on. A lot of that's in the past now, so it's not a factor as much. Growing up, I'd say up until about 15 years ago, it was all Nintendo. I loved the Nintendo systems and was a little loyal there. But then when I did want to get more into the serious, the multiplayer, the online stuff, obviously Nintendo wasn't really offering that. I don't know if they still are,
Right.
But no, it used to be that I would end up picking up. It's too late to go grabbing something like that freighter, even though that Colossus is in the row, huh? Yeah.
We ain't no hater when we take a later freighter.
Dude, that was the best. That's what I should have had queued up to play. That rap was the greatest thing.
Oh my god! Can't believe I remembered that. Thanks for reminding me of that.
And I just completely forgot what I was saying.
You were talking about Nintendo, and then they weren't doing.
Right. I'm open. You know, I have friends with PlayStations. I mean, I don't know how much it is a factor anymore of exclusive games. Like we just kind of talked about, I make less gaming mistakes these days. I'm probably only going to buy a few actual games a year. It does seem like PS does have a leg up if I would decide to go with something like a VR. I'm still maybe interested. Have you done much VR at all?
A rudimentary bit. Most of the things around VR that people talk to me about is very much them wanting me to play a horror game or me to play a horror game VR. I will never do that. I don't think my psychology can handle any more being into a horror game than I already am with my separation of my face and a screen. I don't need to be in the game itself. I'm already pooping my pants. Thank you very much. VR is not required.
But where in the past I would have bought up, I had a series of titles that I would always buy. It's just not the case anymore. I just, again, accepting what I am as a gamer and knowing, am I going to really put the time into this, or do I really just want to try it out for an hour and then never play it again? That being said, I will end up jumping on, the new generation within the first year, I'm sure.
Right. You mentioned, I think you meant, Game Pass earlier. I just want to say that Game Pass for me is like a library, like a game access, like mind bending breaking of the market. I can't understand how it exists. I can't understand how it exists in its form. I don't know how they get away with it. And that alone is Sarah and I are now like just Xbox. Like we will be Xbox because the PlayStation Now does not hold up to what the Game Pass offers. It is ludicrous. So for that subscription alone, Xbox has won, in my opinion, like the next generation war. And so we'll do that. But there are exclusives for Sony that are going to be a problem for me. And I'm going to have to figure out what I want to do about that. Find somebody and borrow their PlayStation, I guess.
That is interesting that Game Pass made such a big difference for you. I have sort of decided not to partake as of right now, partly for that what I mentioned early on in the discussion in that anxiety of having too many choices. If suddenly I have this Game Pass where it's like here's 100 games, I'm gonna have this weird anxiety that I'm wasting this opportunity, all these games that I'm not playing. I think that's kind of what you were alluding to. I gotta pick now, and there's gonna be these great games that I'm gonna miss out on.
Right.
But no, hearing you say that it made such a big difference, and I do occasionally just want to go sort of taste. In fact, I went in and re-downloaded some games that I had gotten off, free with gold, or some that I had purchased a long time ago and then just didn't really end up playing. I do still enjoy that. Having that library of maybe mistakes does make some fun rainy days.
Right. It's true. That's a really good point too. There's also a lot of games though that I will purchase like for the like camaraderie aspect. So there's a lot of games where it's like two of my friends have it and they want to play with me, and so I'll just chuck the money for the 2 hours on a Friday night that we play, and then I've never touched it again. I think there's probably a good like 20 or 30 of those that are just there, and maybe those are actually nice to have because those are, I don't know, maybe they'll be like, hey, yeah, let's play this game again. And it's like, oh yeah, I still have that. That's cool.
So Sam, I'm going to send one back at you, but I want to just point out that not only are we nearing what would be your sort of agreed upon time,
Yeah.
it is a later night than my audience normally is in for. That
Sure.
being said, if you accept this challenge, I'm happy to keep going and talk through it and chat with you. But I'm going to leave that up to you.
Yeah. So yeah, we will probably close up at the 2 simply because, as was previously stated by the special guest, the rest of the house is sleeping. And I don't know if you know, but I am very quiet. I'm a very quiet person. In fact, it has been told that people cannot hear me through walls and that the vibrations of my voice do not disturb the sleep of anyone nearby in apartments or houses that may be adjacent to our own. That being said, out of respect, we'll probably make this the last one.
Okay, awesome. That is fair. Thank you. In knowing that's the case, what are some things that maybe help make up Sam Bax Hall that are not gaming? What are some things maybe we don't know about you, that some interests you have that fall outside of the gaming world?
I love books. I love reading books. I love buying books and not reading them. That's a very special talent of mine. I enjoy writing and I enjoy movies. So Sarah and I really enjoy watching movies. That's one of the things that actually got us connected early on, was just both of us really enjoy watching movies. But I have a rough draft of a novel like completed. That's actually something that's my last hiatus from streaming.
Wow.
Was to do that. I put my computer in my closet because I was so frustrated. I was playing Rocket League at like 2 a.m. and I'm like, what am I doing? And then I just put it all away in a closet and then wrote a novel for like 6 months. So that's something I really have a passion about. In fact, like looking over to my left at this bookshelf, most of the books on here are writing books, like story structure and screenwriting and stuff like that. So that's something I have a passion about. I love talking about story, just story structure, watching a movie and being like, why did they do that? Or that sucked, that whoever wrote that should be fired, et cetera, et cetera.
Now, I very much understand the difference between buying a game and not playing it versus buying a book and not reading it. Can I assume that
fair.
this is a collection? You're looking at things that might have a little more collector value, things like first editions, stuff like that?
No,
No.
actually, no. It's actually the exact same philosophy. The exact same philosophy as the games. A lot of the books is like, I know this is good and I need to read this. This won the Pulitzer Prize in 1997. This needs to be on my shelf. So maybe there is a little bit of that collector's aspect, but not from the sake of like, I want to spend money to own this object for its status. It's more, I want to spend money to own this object because I know it's good and I want to find out why at some point.
No, that's great. I'm that guy. I'm not going to pretend I'm a good writer. I'm competent and functional.
None of us are. Don't worry about it.
I can start. I cannot finish a story. Short story, long story, doesn't matter what it is. I'll lose a little momentum, and then I'll try to come back to it, and I'll have lost something, and it gets shelved, and it never comes together. How do you get by that?
Well, one, you don't. Two, this is one of the like most. It's so good. It's literally like so I have read about every like self-help writer book out there. And the common thread amongst all of them is 2 parts. One, most of them will tell you that story is a structured thing. It's not this like frivolous, floofy, muse-induced, big pile of poop that is the most gorgeous thing the world has ever seen. It is a structured thing. When something happens, this thing will now happen. So it's just an exploration of cause and effect. That helps you get to the end because you can realize, like, I'm not trying to be like so smart with this ending. I'm actually just trying to look at what I've written and then tie the knot. Just okay. So based on what's happened, what needs to happen? The other thing they all say is you have to admit that what you're writing is super, super shitty. I wish that was like, there's no, that's it. That is absolutely it. Like the actual the first line in Anne Lamott's Bird by Bird, like the first chapter is about shitty first drafts. It's literally just about like how bad your first drafts are. And it's about how, hey, just so you know, every single person who writes is writing really bad first drafts. They're probably worse than yours. Like that's how she kind of like approaches it. So that's it. There's no magic wand. It's just like, nope, every single writer is literally hitting themselves in the head with a hammer. And then the ones who persevere through the headaches long enough are the ones who get their books on the shelf.
Reading wise, are you reading primarily fiction or do you do nonfiction as well?
I do both. I'm a big fan of fiction, but my nonfiction, I do a lot of nonfiction. I really enjoy Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a brilliant, brilliant godsend. So I like just going to like the featured article of the day and just reading through it. Fiction in particular, though, that's what I write. That's what I'm interested in. I read a lot of short stories because you can read them in potato chip format. You know, you can just kind of read one, let it ruminate, you know, go do what you got to do with your day, and then come back and read another one tomorrow. Yeah, I have a lot of the best of short story collections on my shelf, so I'll just like open those up randomly and just kind of read a story every now and then.
Do you want to point out any favorite authors?
Favorite authors. So there's like this hipster in me that doesn't want to admit when I like a really famous author. But you know, good writing is good writing. I really enjoy Chuck Palahniuk, the guy who wrote Fight Club, written a lot of other works as well. I think he's a really just phenomenally interesting writer. So he is like somebody who I hold in pretty high esteem. There's the Murakami. I believe it's Murakami. I could be actually slaughtering that. The guy, he wrote Wind Up Bird Chronicle, Kafka on the Shore. Yeah, Haruki Murakami. He's pretty good. Anything by Michael Crichton. Think Jurassic Park, Lost World, Sphere. All those books, just absolute page turners. I can read any of his work. I mean, he's passed, but his work is really good. I don't know, man. I could keep going. The Golden Compass series is amazing. Mark Danielewski wrote House of Leaves. That is absolutely brilliant. I love East of Eden by Steinbeck. As far as classics are concerned, like I think he did an okay job as far as making something that isn't the most like dry and difficult to read classic book of all time. Anyway, I could literally keep going, so we should probably like.
No, I love
I need to put one of those like trumpet mutes like in my mouth. I don't know what, just like, and you're done.
It's making me feel so not cultured. I'm mostly
No, don't, please don't. No. I'm not because
I'm reading Grisham and Connolly. You know, the stuff that I.
Grisham's great. No, Grisham's great. The Firm by Grisham. Is it The Firm? Right?
Yeah, many. There's.
It's so good.
I do
oh my
like
god, The Firm is amazing.
Legal fiction for some reason.
Okay.
Well,
it's funny. that's actually really funny because, like, I like there's a part of me that enjoys courtroom drama, right? But then the other half that I'm attached to is a lawyer, and it's very difficult, because it's like that's not how it works. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of that where it's just like, and that's not how this works. It's not. It's pretty funny.
Well, that is going to be game. And that is going to bring us to the end of our 2-hour discussion with Sam.
I feel like that went by in a flash.
It really did.
That's disappeared.
These have been so fun. We're going to stay on with you, Sam, but we're going to sort of wrap it up here, guys. I want to thank, of course, everyone who came in to listen and watch live, but also anyone that does catch this on replay. There are so many options you have for entertainment these days. This the fact you come in and spend some time with us means so much to me. I want to also thank all of my guests this season: Ryan Powell, Jeremy Folletta, Dustin Klingman, Dustin Bremer, Brian Machin, Al Sarkeesian, Shannon Gessler, Daryl Gessler, Dave Logvin, Ashton Sable, Chris Polides, and Sam Bax Hall. This has been one amazing run for 10 weeks, guys. We're going to come back and do this again in January. I've sort of talked about that we're going to change the format a little bit to try to reach out to some other players who the time slot may not work entirely for, or may not be comfortable with this 2-hour anything goes format. We're going to be looking at maybe some international players. And guys, if you want to see someone in particular on my program, reach out to me either on Messenger or perhaps by email. It's a little bit different than you expect. It's actually thecuttermatt@gmail.com. That would be great. Sam, do you have any final words at all tonight?
I do not. It's been an absolute pleasure. I want to say that rundown of people you've had on the show, that's a hell of a lineup you got together for this run. So good luck topping that in the seasons to come. That's a pretty intense first go.
Yeah, I was very fortunate that
it's awesome.
That I had friends within this community that were very willing to help me out, people that I knew others wanted to hear from, and Sam, you were definitely one of them. So I want to, again, thank you so much. And guys, we're going to see you again next week. That'll be on Wednesday. Until then, have a good night.